Hey, what up? It's Brad with Home Love Construction, and in this video I'm going to answer a question that is, what is construction management? I want to break it down here for you because I get asked by people like, what's the difference between just hiring a contractor and hiring a contractor to do construction management? There's a really big difference, to be honest with you, and it has a lot to do with who's taking the liability and how the liability is structured, and also how the pay is structured. So when you hire a general contractor, typically you have a set scope, like you have a scope of work. Okay, you're gonna do X number of feet of flooring, you're gonna have X number of boards of drywall, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna paint X number of square feet, and it's very specific and specified. And then if that scope of work changes, either up or down, the contractor charges you either more or less, depending on how it's changing. But you have a price for the whole thing that you're agreed upon up front, and then the contractor says, hey, if there's changes to the actual amount of work that we're doing, I'm going to charge you more. So, or less, obviously, if you take stuff out, but that's very rare that less work gets done. It's always like, okay, we're rolling, why don't we also do this as well? That's what we see in our projects. So that said, that's a typical construction contract. Now, construction management is quite a bit different. In very large projects, like let's say you're building a 5,000 square foot home, it would actually be a bit unusual for you to sign a contract with a contractor to say, hey, for this 5,000 square foot home, it's gonna be $1.2 million, here's blah, blah, and blah. Because in a 5,000 square foot home, there's so much variation between, let's say you do square corner bead, which is like how you finish the corners of walls, versus let's say you change it to round corner bead. That could be a $6,000 change in the actual cost of the drywall finishing, legitimately. If you have 10-foot ceilings and you have that corner bead and it goes from square to round, it costs more to finish the round than it does the square. It takes a higher level of installer. So little things like that being changed change a lot along the way, and they'll make a lot of paperwork and a lot of confusion if you have a set cost. Now, on the construction management side, you do something very different. You basically say, okay, for this scope of work, to manage the subcontractors, you're going to pay me X amount of dollars. I'm going to give you a range of what I think it'll cost, but I have no liability for this. I'm going to make sure that it gets done in a timely manner, whatever that looks like for your specific project. It could be 3 months, it could be 3 years. Some projects getting it done in 3 years would be timely, depending on the scope, obviously. So timely manner, done correctly, so a lot of quality assurance. And then the budget is really usually a flexible thing, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna say, for that amount of work, you're gonna pay me $50,000 over the next X number of weeks, months, or years to manage this project for you. And then you're going to pay the subcontractor invoices as they come in. So as something is due, you have to pay it. Now, the contractor obviously is working as the middle person, who's usually going to have the funds flow through them. So usually you're gonna write a check to the contractor for the drywaller's amount. He's gonna bring it out to the drywaller. Now, what's very important in a construction management contract is that your contractor isn't charging you the fee and also marking up the subcontractor's bills. There needs to be direct billing, and there needs to be evidence, and it needs to be written in the contract that the contractor isn't gonna be getting kickbacks of any kind from the subcontractors. So that's a super important point that goes out in a lot of these contracts. It's super not cool for a contractor to do that, and it's really unfair to you if they're doing that. So that has to be super clear. But that said, most contractors won't do that. Most contractors that I run into are super honest, and they just want to do a great job for you and get your project done. So that said, you can hire people for either one of these services. Now, at Home Love Construction, we typically, what we like to do is do an all-encompassing contract where we just say, hey, we're gonna handle everything. You're gonna pay us this much to do all of it. And then if we get it done for cheaper, it's our win. If it costs us a little bit more, it's our loss. And we take either silently, unless the scope of work changes, obviously. If we wind up adding in 20 sheets of drywall because we also do that room over there, well, then now there's an increase in the cost and the paint and the flooring and blah, 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 all that stuff. So that's what we typically do. However, I do want you to be aware that we do offer construction management services. If you have a commercial, let's say a storefront that you need built out, or let's say you have a large custom home you're looking to build, or you have a very large renovation where you're looking to really work with somebody experienced, but you don't want the back and forth and the, this way where it's a fixed price, it's very strict. There's no wiggle room. This is exactly what we're doing. This is exactly the cost. A one extra nail more of work, it's gonna cost more, because it has to be that way. Otherwise we would lose our butt on every project we took on. On the construction management side, it's a little more loose. We can be more flexible in what the scope is, and it basically varies the subcontractor's costs up and down as we go. So that said, we don't mind taking those on. We do take those on from time to time. And the way that we like to structure them is we set out the scope in the beginning of what we're managing, and we get a fixed price for that. And then if we wind up managing more work, like more stuff, then we wind up altering that fee. But over here is what we more typically do, which is where we set a price for everything, and then we just go and bam. Typically, most inexperienced homeowners like to do this one a little bit more, but I do want you to realize that you have the option of construction management from us or any other contractor that's in your area. Now that said, either one of these, right, the success or failure of either model is going to be fully determined by how good your design is. Paying for good design can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm not exaggerating, on the construction end. So what I would love to do, whether you're hiring us or not, or in our service area or whatever, is I want to design your project. We do virtual designs with our highly experienced design team, and I want to do that for you. So go to homelove.construction/design, and you can literally book a call with one of our designers today to talk to them about designing your project remotely and how we can vet contractors and make sure you're set up for success with your project. Again, homelove.construction/design is where you get that started. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your attention. I'll see you in the next vid. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already. See ya. Peace.